Hello, everyone. My name is Adam.
And I'm Serena, and this is our chapter presentation on stimulants. A stimulant is a type of classification for drugs that increase activity in the body, so it speeds up mental and physical processes. So when you take stimulants, you become more alert, more energized, as well as focused. Stimulants give you euphoric effects. It increases the levels of dopamine in the brain, which is the chemical that plays a role in pleasure, and then norepinephrine, which affects the blood vessels, blood pressure, heart rate, blood sugar, and breathing. The way you can administer different types of stimulants is it can either be ingested orally, snorted, smoked, or injected. Some different acute and chronic effects. For acute effects, when you are taking stimulants, you can feel happy, increased energy and sociability and self esteem, improved attention, increased sexual desire and performance, easier breathing, and suppressed appetite. Some chronic effects are extreme weight loss, reduced sexual functioning, gastrointestinal problems, muscle deterioration, chronic exhaustion, cardiovascular damage, breathing problems, headaches, stroke, seizure, and then cerebral hemorrhage, which just basically means there's bleeding in the brain. Other side effects when taking stimulants is increased heart rate and blood pressure, increased blood sugar, increased breathing, decreased blood flow, and then very high body temperature, as well as muscle shakes or tremors. Some psychological effects are hallucinations, delusions, persistent anxiety, paranoia, and depression. These are just some different types of drugs that are classified as stimulants. So we have cocaine, which is created from the leaves of a cocoa plant. It can be used for medical purposes, but street use is illegal. And then cocaine can be injected, smoked, and snorted. Next, we have amphetamines. This affects the central nervous system, and it's a stimulant to treat ADHD. It can also be used as performance enhancing drugs. It can be in the form of powder, tablets, crystals, and capsules. Next, we have ecstasy. The medical term for it is 3,4 methylenedioxymethamphetamine, or MDMA. It alters mood and perception. It can cause hallucinogens and produces feelings of increased energy, pleasure, emotional warmth, and distorted sensory and time perception. Methamphetamine or meth is also another drug that affects the central nervous system. It can also help with ADHD and narcolepsy, which is a sleeping disorder. Meth can be smoked, injected, swallowed, and snorted. It looks like glass fragment or shiny bluish white rocks. And then finally, we have different ADHD prescription drugs. There's Adderall, Concerta, Dexedrine, Ritalin, Strattera, and then Viovase. So some reasons for taking stimulants. Prescription stimulants are usually used to treat ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or narcolepsy, which is extreme tendency to fall asleep. Most prescriptions come in capsule, tablet, or liquid form. And then the common type of prescription stimulants are dextroamphetamine, and amphetamine, which is a combination to produce Adderall, and then methylphenidate, which is either Ritalin or Concerta. And then going back to dextroamphetamine, Dexedrine is the term for the prescription drug. How does it help? Well, these prescription drugs reduce interruptions, fidgeting, and other hyperactive symptoms, as well as improves task completion, home relationships, behavior, and attention span.
So here's a little bit of the history on the drugs. Coca-Cola was invented in 1885 by John Pemberton. The original formula contained cocaine, which is a stimulant, in the form of an extract of the coca leaf. And in 1914, the Harrison Act banned all the over-the-counter inclusion of cocaine. So Coca-Cola used to have cocaine in it, and it could be bought over the counter. Some history on amphetamines. It was popularized in the 1930s with a nasal spray that could be bought over the counter. This led to misuse, and then it was further banned for over-the-counter prescription or buying in 1957. Some history about methamphetamine. Meth was used in World War II as they called it the speed scene. People in World War II were ingesting methamphetamine to make them feel more energized and to stay up later. Meth use peaked in the 1960s. After World War II, it started to become really popular. Impact on society. In the mid-1990s, meth trafficking began to grow into a problem that now affects the entire country. Most trafficking comes from Mexico into the United States. This negatively impacts the economy and taxpayers. There's a lot of meth labs out there, and most of the time these labs go uncleaned and stuff, and then the government has to step in to clean them. And it actually costs a lot of money to do so, and that comes out of the taxpayers' dollars. There's toxic chemicals from meth labs that affect the economy, and it also affects local people and the environment. Impact on health, and the NDIC estimates that the annual cost of drug-related crime in the United States is more than $61 billion. Some news today about stimulants. There are still many articles and news coming out about instances involving meth and cocaine, mostly about drug busts and people being caught with the substances. There has also been articles about new ADHD medications and stopping the use of ADHD medication. And there has been news about drugs being laced with fentanyl. That's usually around ecstasy and Molly and stuff like that. And some statistics about the drugs. For adults, according to the 2017 National Survey on Drug Use, health, approximately 1.6 million people reported using methamphetamine in the past year. For children, the 2018 Monitoring the Future survey of adolescent drug use and attitudes reported that about 0.5% of 8th, 10th, and 12th graders had used methamphetamine within the past year. For adults, in 2014, there were an estimated 1.5 million current over the past month cocaine users aged 12 or older. And for children, in 2014, 1.1% of 12th graders, 0.8% of 10th, and 0.5% of 8th graders reported using cocaine in the past month. Another adult statistic, the National Survey on Drug Use and Health found that in 2014, more than 17 million persons aged 12 or older reported using MDMA, which is ecstasy and Molly, at least once in their lifetimes. This is an increase from 11 million reported 10 years prior to 17 million in 2014. For children, the 2015 Monitoring the Future survey reports a significant decline in 30-day prevalence of powder cocaine among 8th, 10th, and 12th graders from peak use, which was in the late 1990s. And here are our references. Thank you.